I'd welcome to John Carroll. So if you're here for biology, chemistry, or pre-health, you're in the right spot. And so we're going to tell you a little bit about our programs and then open that up to some questions that you might have. So, feel free to interrupt us as well as if you have a question as we move along. So I'm Dr. Mike Martin, the chair of the biology department. This is Dr. Mark Weiner. He's a chemistry professor and also an alum of John Carroll. We have Dr. Kathy Lee, who's the head of pre-health for us. And down here on the panel, we have a number of students. So raise your hand. We have Ryan Salemi, a sophomore who's a cell molecular biology major, and Steve Napolitano, who's also a sophomore cell molecular biology major. Alex Hurd, who is graduating in a couple weeks, I guess, right, a chemistry major. And Hannah Todorowski, who's a junior, also a pre-med student. Okay? Let's talk just briefly about our new integrated core curriculum. And so the new core curriculum is beginning in the fall. And so all of you, if you come to John Carroll, will have an opportunity to begin this new integrated core. It's going to be a little bit smaller than our old core. If you have any siblings who have come to school here or know any friends who are older than you, it's a little smaller than the old core. It's going to make sure that the skills you develop early on, so including things like writing, oral communication, quantitative analysis, those are going to be integrated throughout your time here, both in some other courses that are in the core, but also going to be developed in your major as well. And obviously, if you're thinking about things like biology and chemistry, quantitative analysis is going to be pretty important for you. You're going to see knowledge from a lot of different angles. I think about the core curriculum and how it can inform us, as people, as global citizens. We can't think about any particular problem simply through a lens of chemistry or biology or biochemistry. There's a whole lot more to it than just those simple things. And so we have to know a lot more than our disciplines where we might major. The foundational competencies will include things like the writing, the oral communication, the quantitative analysis. You'll do a foreign language. Okay? You might be able to test out of a foreign language. So if you've had a few years of French or Spanish or so on, you'll take that entrance exam here in the spring or in the summer during orientation. You might be able to test out of your foreign language. Integrated courses that are going to be able to bring together multiple disciplines. Right? We might have a chemistry professor and an English professor. We might have a biology professor together with somebody from religious studies, right? Talking about various issues and looking at them through, once again, a couple different lenses. You would capture things like that in the exploring the natural world. Okay? We have a couple of other integrated courses that you'll take as well, including the global community and the examining the human experience. These are going to be looking at some questions through more so the lenses of humanities and social sciences. And we still stay true to our Jesuit heritage here. Everybody's going to take a few philosophy courses. Everybody's going to take a few theology and religious studies courses. Okay? We haven't wavered from this commitment.
So in addition, in the Jesuit heritage category, there's also a course that will be surrounding around the issue of social justice, which is key to the Jesuits. Another part of that is there's a 1-credit fine arts requirement that's part of that. And that, again, is part of a long history of the Jesuits being very interested not only in the sort of traditional knowledge areas, but also in the arts.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about biology in our program here. So we have 3 separate majors. We have a general biology major. This is our biggest major. Has about 60 students graduating each year. We have 2 more specialized majors, one in cell and molecular biology. This is the bigger of our 2 specialty majors. It's about 10 students a year through there. Environmental science major, 3 to 5. In the past few years, it's been reaching up into more like 8 students graduating with an environmental science degree. Students who do biology majors will have some minors and concentrations that they tend to do. They'll do things like a population and public health minor. They might do a neuroscience concentration. Our 2 neuroscience faculty take students to conferences every year. They've won awards for papers and posters, something like 23 out of the last 24 years. It's an impressive record. And they do a great job of training students to do research. We have some unique courses in the department, things that I know have to be pretty unique, in part because something like poverty and disease, we can't find a textbook. There's no textbook for this, right? Nobody else is teaching stuff like this. So Jim Lismore in our department looks at disparities among various diseases, both locally, domestically, and internationally as well. You can imagine things like diabetes, HIV, lead poisoning, and things like this. Courses in epidemiology, as well as poverty and disease, fit nicely in the population and public health minor. Our person who teaches epidemiology, she was a postdoc at Harvard School of Public Health. Global climate change, as well, is a course that we've offered for a number of years. We have a great commitment in our department to the environment. And also a course like molecular methods. So I've got a couple students from molecular methods, Ryan and Stephen here. I'm one of their 2 professors. There's only 6 students in the class, 2 professors. That kind of blows up our student-faculty ratio. Sorry, Gene. Our provost is here. But we have a tremendous commitment to these students and the research and the independent study and skills they're going to develop in courses like this. And so we put our resources there because we know the students are going to get a great experience. So what can you do in some of our courses besides just come to have them in this nice building? You can take a trip to Honduras. This is a pre-medical brigade that has gone to Honduras for something like 7 years now, 8 years now maybe. It's led by the epidemiologist for us, right? And so the students go for about 10 days following classes in the spring, and they have a tremendous experience, right? This is an experience that I can say is pretty unique. It's so unique that the students who've gone want to come back even after they graduate. And so we're thinking of even expanding this to 2 separate trips that are going to happen each summer. You can also go to fun places like the moon. That's not the moon, I'm sorry. That's the Atacama Desert. This is the driest desert in the world down here in Chile. And so one of our faculty, Dr. Jeff Johansson, goes down there and collects cyanobacteria from this rather desolate-looking place. We come back and see what it looks like. We sequence its DNA, see where it fits in the evolutionary tree. We have a trip that goes to Costa Rica each spring break. So this is a field study course led by Dr. Saporito. You might be able to see him. He's going to run the Human Anatomy and Physiology lab. He'll have that open later for you. He studies poison dart frogs. And he's had here's one of his specimens here that he studied on the cover of the journal Ecology. We think that one of the most important things that you can get into while you're here is research, right? I know that research is quite important. I know how it shaped my professional career, including when I was an undergraduate and spent a large amount of time in the research lab. You can do research with our faculty in the summer during the academic year. We have a summer research program that includes a free summer course, right? So you can get ahead in some of your studies as well as do some research. You can do research down at the Cleveland Clinic, right? We have a dedicated program with the Cleveland Clinic. 10 students will go down there each summer. It really is a little bit bigger than that as they come back and take some students from the alternate list every year. So probably more like 12 or 14 students spend 10 weeks in the summer doing research with the Cleveland Clinic faculty. This is a paid summer internship. We're the only school in the country who has a dedicated program with the Cleveland Clinic. One of our alums is in cardiology down there. She says places like Yale, maybe you've heard of that. Yale call and say, can we get in your summer research program? And she says, no thanks. Our faculty like John Carroll students, right? So we have in fact, you guys are going, right? Anybody else gone down there? You went down last year?
I'm going to.
Going to this year. And so these students are going to get a tremendous experience this summer, no doubt about it. But also some other places to go do some research, have some internships. Natural History Museum, Metro Health. We have REU programs we send students out to that are funded by the National Science Foundation, Holden Arboretum, the Botanical Gardens. There's a lot to do, okay? There's plenty of things that you can do in the summer and academic year to kind of help yourself to get a job. This is my favorite slide, right? Here's my favorite slide. This is the research productivity of the department, okay? And so if you look at it over time, the green bar is publications by faculty, and if there were no red and blue, which indicate graduate students, we have a small master's program in biology. In undergraduates there in blue, it wouldn't mean anything to you. Okay, but what I know is that our faculty are publishing. They're publishing at a great rate, and they're also publishing with undergraduates. Okay? It's kind of like a golden ticket to get to where you want to go. If you have a publication in hand by the time you finish your undergraduate career, you're going to get a lot of doors open for you in your professional schools. Okay? This is 2015. It's bigger than some other years. We're a few months in. Okay? What I can say, I used to be, I guess, a little bit less confident in it. Now I firmly believe it's true. You don't see a publication rate like this for faculty at schools our size in the country. We're probably in the top 1% to 3%. Okay? But what matters is you're getting in here and you're doing research with us. We work with undergraduates, freshmen, sophomores. You don't have to wait till you're a senior to do work with us. These two guys have been doing research, I know, since they were freshmen last year, right? And they're in a senior graduate level molecular methods lab right now as sophomores. Okay? So this kind of thing is what we're really going to make sure that you can do, because science is about doing. Not unless you can read another textbook, right? But you've got to get in the lab. You've got to figure out how to do science. That's going to help you more than anything else. This is simply a list of faculty in our department, some of the research interests. I'll highlight just a couple, some that I've talked about already. Dr. Erin Johnson, the epidemiologist, she's now even studying Ebola, right? So we don't have Ebola in the building. We have a piece of DNA that expresses an Ebola protein that affects cells. So she works on the antiviral response, using small molecules to help overcome viral infections, right? So we have a lot going on. We have a number of people who like me, who have PhDs in cell molecular biology, dealing with things like gene expression in model organisms. In yeast, we have development in another model organism here in fruit flies. Some other model organisms we're dealing with Dr. Lissamore, some molecular genetics and some worms. So we have a lot going on, both inside, indoor biologists like me, but also out in the field. Okay? Lots of field studies happening as well. This is a quick one because I've got a young child. Mark's got a few. Kathy's got a few. So all the places you'll go when you leave John Carroll, places that you'll end up. Places like Wisconsin, that's my alma mater. Today's a big day for me. I'm a little nervous. But places like Wisconsin, Case Western, Ohio State, Field and Bank, lots of places to go for graduate school. Some you might have heard of as well, like Duke. Some of my more recent undergraduates have gone to places like Duke. My one more recently is at Pittsburgh in a pharmacology program. The Duke student is in a cancer biology PhD program. For health careers, medical dental schools, all the Ohio schools, you start to spread out from there. You can see where you're at. Trips that go various places. Hawaii, I missed the trip to Hawaii. It was going to be free. My daughter was going to be born the next week. I couldn't make it. But Hawaii, places like that, the Appalachians down here to do some research, out for desert field biology and reptilia. And so you're going to get out of University Heights. You're going to get out of this building, and you're going to see things and do things that will make a difference in your academic and your professional lives. So, Mark,
So, good to see everybody. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we do in chemistry. Now, most of us chemists, we also think research is important. However, the work that we do often takes place in a laboratory. Our laboratory does not involve usually the Atacama Desert, for example. So we don't have a lot of those trips, but we also do value undergraduates getting involved with our research programs. In fact, that's part of what we have to do as faculty to get tenured here. We have to demonstrate that we can do research involving undergraduates as well. So, tell you a little bit about some of our programs. Our most populated chemistry track is called the biochemistry track. Okay? That one is among the most popular in part because of what Dr. Lee is going to talk about, a lot of folks that are interested in pre-health professions. It has all of the requirements built into that major that the medical schools require. So that's one of the reasons it's popular. Besides medicine, other health careers that people go into with the biochemistry track, pharmacy is a big one. We have a lot of our students wanting to go into pharmacy. And that's one of the things that we're proud of. We've been able to have a good relationship with Ohio State, which has the top pharmacy program in the state of Ohio. and we've sent a lot of our students there. In fact, we've had the Dean of the College of Pharmacy from Ohio State has done a distance learning course with students here from John Carroll because they've been so successful at Ohio State in their programs that they wanted to recruit even more of our students. We also have students from biochemistry who decide to go on in graduate programs, whether directly in biochemistry or some of the more molecular biology related fields. It's also not unusual for our biochemistry students to double major with the cell and molecular biology track. Okay? So typically, the other way that people will go, besides going into one of the professional schools or a graduate program, is into careers in the chemical industry. A number of our students work at Sherwin-Williams, places like that here locally, various biotech firms. We also have a number of our former students who've gone into intellectual property work, working with patent law. We have a student that was working for quite a while in the intellectual property office at the Cleveland Clinic. Somebody else, actually my lab partner from when I was an undergraduate student, he went to work for a law firm as a patent agent. So that's been another way that some of our folks have gone. We have what's called the comprehensive chemistry track. That one is certified by the American Chemical Society. So we have an external body looking at what we're doing there. And that's an organization that all of us chemists are involved with. It's more mathematics and physics intensive, has a little more in-depth chemistry involved in it. This is really geared for the people that have decided they want to be a professional chemist. Or they want to go on further after undergraduate to maybe pursue a master's or PhD in a field that's related, such as chemical engineering. This would be a track for folks to do. Okay? We do have some of our students that choose this comprehensive track because they enjoy learning all that chemistry, and it sets them up well to go into medicine or the health professions as well. We also have a track called the general track. And that general track is to allow you the flexibility to be able to learn some really important chemistry, the basics of chemistry, but to also integrate that with another field that you're interested in going into. So we've had some students do the criminology sequence in our sociology department because what they're really interested in is applying science to law, or forensic science, forensic chemistry. We've had students that want to be teachers. And that's an important thing to me. I'm just finishing up 5 years directing what was called the Woodrow Wilson Ohio Teaching Fellowship Program, training new science and math teachers for high-need schools in Ohio. That's something that's really important to me. Science education is really important. So this is a track that folks interested in going into education, this allows you to finish both the education requirements as well as chemistry requirements within the 4 years. Okay. Another way that people have used the general major is to combine it with business tracks. You can do the 5-year MBA program, for example, with this general track. We have some students that do the general track along with our entrepreneurship program because they're really interested in getting into startup businesses that are more technically, chemically related. Okay. Some of the strengths of our program. One, and those of you that come back for the lab tours later, I'll be upstairs, and we can point you to our instrument facility. We have wonderful state-of-the-art instrumentation, over $2 million in equipment. And a lot of it is equipment that I didn't get to see when I was an undergraduate here. That's been stuff that's been added since I was a student here. I didn't see this kind of stuff till I went to Michigan State for graduate school. Go Spartans. So, we do have a lot of this equipment, and what's nice about it is we are a primarily undergraduate institution, so those instruments are not just for me to use, those instruments are for my students to use. Undergraduate students, starting in the freshman year, get to use equipment that's in this facility. And that's an important thing for us here at John Carroll. Okay? As Dr. Martin said, in chemistry, it's also very important to get involved with research and or with internships with industry to get that experience, to see what it is in science you really want to be able to do in your career. What are the types of things you'd like to do? Nice thing, just like with biology, is that in the sciences, those internships, those research experiences, they pay you money. You make money while you're doing this. You do it full-time in the summer, you get paid, you're learning stuff, and in recognition of learning things, you are getting college credit that counts towards your degree at the same time. Pretty neat way to go. We also have opportunities in our program because in chemistry we don't have any graduate program. We still need assistants in the laboratories that we teach. There's always a faculty member there, but we need additional help. So our teaching assistants are not graduate students, they're our undergraduate students. And so that's another way that students can earn money while learning and gaining experience that will be very helpful to them, particularly if they decide to go to graduate school. Okay. We like to say in chemistry here, you're not going to get lost in the crowd. We do not hold our chemistry classes in this room. We could fit 250 people in here and teach one section. We don't believe in that. We teach general chemistry, organic chemistry, those first 2 years of chemistry, in the largest room other than this that we can find in this building. That room holds up to 45 people. That's as big as a section can be. So you're going to get to know that professor. When you have questions about what you're doing in class, you go talk to that professor directly. You're not going to talk to an assistant, a teaching assistant, or graduate assistant. Okay? In upper level classes, those numbers get even smaller. Might be 8 students in some of your lab courses, as Dr. Martin said with some of their upper level labs as well. Might be in a big upper level class, might be 25 students in something like a biochemistry class. Okay? We have 9 full-time faculty in chemistry, and we have between 25 and 35 graduates a year, which when you compare that to all the other schools in Ohio, we tend to be in the top 10 in terms of numbers of chemistry graduates graduated from a program. We tend to be in the top 10, even as small as we are overall. So, let me see here. I want to highlight just a couple things because we are running a little bit short on time. We're happy to take questions later. I mentioned earlier the idea of you could double major in biochemistry, cell molecular. There's also something that Dr. Martin mentioned earlier, the neuroscience concentration. That's a concentration a lot of bio students like to take, particularly those cell and molecular folks. It's also a concentration that chemists can do. It's also a concentration you can do if you're coming in from the psychology side of things as well. Okay? So I also mentioned some of the other minors and other programs that students in chemistry might take part in. More than half our students will finish an internship and or a research experience by the time they graduate from John Carroll. Again, as I mentioned, you earn credit towards graduation doing that, but you also typically get paid for those experiences. And then I highlighted again here, chemistry students are also part of the audience for that Cleveland Clinic summer research program as well. Okay? Just some very general overview things. For chemists, we have a very low unemployment rate. That's because in chemistry, you learn about important skills like problem solving, but you also learn some of the important laboratory skills that industry really needs and wants. And so chemists are very highly employable across a wide range of fields. Roughly about a third of our students go into professional schools, about a third to graduate schools, and about a third go directly into employment, whether the public or private sector. I've listed some of the places where our students go. At the bottom here, I listed a couple of places that you wouldn't normally think of chemists or scientists working. One is AI Root Candle Company. They make specialty candles here in Ohio. Why would a candle company hire chemists? Well, it's all chemistry. Making a candle, they're all chemicals. And they need chemists to do things like develop the fragrances and the dyes and the pigments that they use. So you often find opportunities like this to apply your chemistry knowledge in new and innovative ways. Okay, so with that, I think I'll leave this up here and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Lee because we want to give her a chance.
Thank you very much. So I hope one of the things that you've been hearing as we've been going through is some of the unique opportunities that John Carroll offers to their students. And those unique opportunities are really what gives the Pre-Health Professions program a lot of strength. So I always get the question, what do I need to do to get into medical school or dental school or physician assistant or what have you? And at one point in time, this circle right here, this metric circle, was really the most important circle. Right? So the metrics include things like your overall grade point average, your science and math grade point average, and that standardized test score. So if you want to go to medical school, you need to take the MCAT. If you want to go to dental school, you take the DAT. If you want to go to optometry school, you take the OAT. So there's a standardized test for everything. And at one point in time, those metrics were really the most important thing. Health professions programs have begun to realize that it takes more than just a good science person to be a good healthcare provider. And so now all of these programs are looking at other things in applications. And so things like experiences. What kind of experiences can you bring coming into that program? How much time have you spent doing research in a chemistry field or a biological field? How much time have you spent in clinical situations? And so they're looking at all of these different experiences that you have had that you're bringing into the program that you're interested in. Then there's this other category that they sort of lump together all of your other qualities and characteristics. So what kind of leadership experiences have you had? Do you have anything unique in your background that you can bring to a healthcare profession program? So I think one of the things that I really love about what Mark and what Dr. Weiner and Dr. Martin said is that they really highlighted a lot of the unique opportunities that are available to John Carroll students. This is a question I get all the time. So what major should I pick if I want to go to medical school or dental school or what have you? And honestly, there is no best major. I will say, though, that the majority of my pre-health students fall into either general biology, cell and molecular biology, or biochemistry. But, you know, you don't even have to be a science major to go on to medical school or dental school or a health profession program. I've had English majors go to medical school. I have an economics major who's in medical school right now. I've had all sorts of different types of majors go on to health profession programs. The important thing is that you pick a major that interests you the most, because generally speaking, when students are interested in something, they do better in it. So don't pick biochemistry because it sounds like it gives you all the courses you need if you're not truly interested in getting a degree in biochemistry. Of course, you do have to pay attention to satisfying all the prerequisites for whatever program that you want to get into. And so we work very closely, I work very closely with both biology and chemistry departments to make sure that students are getting the courses they need for their major and the courses that they need for their health studies program, whatever that might be. And you also have to make sure you're taking the right courses to prepare for those standardized tests that I mentioned. All right. Other academics to consider. So what other things can you put in some of those other circles that go in experiences in others? And again, this is a liberal arts school. The liberal arts education means you're getting a very well-rounded background, and you're getting experiences in things that other schools may not be able to offer you. And Dr. Martin and Dr. Weiner both highlighted some of those unique academic courses that you can take. We also have some great minors and concentrations. The Neuroscience Concentration is wonderful. Population and public health has become increasingly popular. And now we also have a new healthcare preparation minor. And so this is a variety of courses that really helps you to prepare for a career in healthcare. And so these are going to be courses outside of those typical science courses that you think about when you think about getting ready for medical school or dental school. So again, things like bioethics. This is a course offered through the philosophy department that does a lot of case studies where you're looking at medical issues from an ethical standpoint. Poverty and disease, epidemiology, global health delivery, comparative health policy. So again, we're looking at health from a couple of different angles. Medicine and culture, healthcare information technology, lots of different opportunities to get unique coursework experiences. Other types of experiences are important too. Volunteer work and community service is absolutely required for a strong applicant for medical school or dental school or any healthcare professions program. When I ask students, why do you want to be a doctor or a dentist? The answer is, I want to help people, right? And so if you go through 4 years of undergraduate career and you don't help a single person, medical schools are going to see a little bit of a disconnect there. So community service, volunteer work, extremely important. We've got tons of opportunities here. We have a whole office. It's called the Center for Service and Social Action. They work very closely with many different organizations in the area, as well as campus ministry. We kind of live in a hospital-rich area, a little bit. So there's lots of opportunities at the local hospitals. There's the free clinic downtown. I have a number of students who are working at nursing homes, assisted living facilities, all sorts of different ways to get those types of healthcare-related experiences. In addition, we have another unique opportunity for students here, is that we have our own student-run EMS program. So you do have to become EMT certified to serve on that squad, but once you are, you can serve on any squad. And so when something happens on campus, it's the student-run squad that's called first. They evaluate the patient, they stabilize the patient, they make a decision about whether or not the University Heights ambulance needs to be called in, and then if that happens, they have to remain with that patient to make sure that patient is safe until they can be transported to the hospital. So again, a very unique opportunity that you won't find on other campuses to serve in a medically related way without having to leave campus. Shadowing and clinical experiences. Again, all of these healthcare professions programs want to make sure that you understand exactly what you're getting into. That being a physician is not like, I don't know, Grey's Anatomy or whatever that's on TV right now. Not at all. You know, House would have lost his license halfway through the first episode. Done. Not like that. So they want to make sure that you understand the day-to-day life of a physician and what it's really like. I have lots of shadowing contacts in my office, people who are happy to have John Carroll students come in and do shadowing work with them. Now, a lot of them are John Carroll grads, so you're going to have to listen to their John Carroll flag waving a little bit, but they provide some really unique and wonderful opportunities for students in clinics, in surgical specialties, and all sorts of different areas. So lots of shadowing. Clinical experiences as well. We've got a few paid internships. We have other types of clinical experiences for students who are interested in getting those things. Again, the research, Dr. Martin and Dr. Weiner both highlighted a lot of our research opportunities, both on campus and off campus. The other thing medical schools and other health profession programs are looking for is leadership experience. Can you manage other people? Can you work with a variety of other people and be effective at the same time? So join clubs, join organizations as freshmen, and that way as your sophomores and juniors, you'll be taking on leadership opportunities. All right, so the pre-health professions program works very closely with the other programs on campus. And what happens with that is that once a student decides that they want to be in the pre-health professions program, they register with my office, and then I serve as a secondary pre-health advisor. So somebody coming in interested in being a biochemistry major would have a primary advisor within the chemistry department, excuse me, who would help them navigate their way through their major. So making sure they stay on track with their major, with the core, with any other questions they might have on how to graduate on time. As a secondary pre-health advisor, I'm really there to give advice and guidance and support to students as they navigate their way through college, trying to make that decision on what they want to do after college and getting ready for that next step. So courses, experiences, all of those other things that have to be put together in order to have a nice, strong application. We help students with giving them standardized test information and tips on how to prepare for those standardized tests. We also put our students through an interview preparation program. This is kind of another unique facet of John Carroll's education. There's not a lot of other colleges that do this, but in your junior year or in your senior year, you can go through interview preparation program. And in fact, two of our students sitting right here are going through this right now. This involves a student filling out an application with my office that details everything they've done in college. And then they have to go on mock interviews with faculty members individually, and then they have to do a mock committee interview as well. And so at the end of that process, they get feedback about their application strength and their interview skills and the personal statement that they write as part of that application. From that, I also write a committee letter of recommendation that helps support their application to medical school or dental school or wherever it is that they end up applying to. So it's a bit of a nerve-wracking process, but they survived, they're still here. It's all good. We also help with writing personal statements. The personal statement in applications for professional schools have also become much more important. They look very closely at those personal statements because they really want to understand why you have picked this career. What is your reason? Can you articulate why this is the career for you? And so those personal statements have to be very strong and very eye-catching. We also have a wonderful John Carroll graduate who works part-time in our office. Dr. Lewandowski is our physician in residence. He graduated from John Carroll. He went to Ohio State for his medical degree. He became a gynecological oncologist, And he's at the point in his career where he's done with medicine, but he's too young to retire, and he has lots of energy. So he meets with students all the time. He helps them with their personal statements. He participates in the interview process I talked about. He's just been a fantastic asset to the pre-health studies program. He wished he could be here today, but he had some other obligations, and so he sends a very warm hello to everyone. And I will have some of his business cards at the academic fair later on this afternoon if you want to talk to him. So where do our health profession grads go? Oh, the places you'll go, as Dr. Martin said, all sorts of different programs, physicians, dentists, physician assistant, and you can read all of those different programs. And I've got 6 more slides of all these different professions, so we're going to work through them. No, we're not. A little bit. So really, any type of health profession program, some you may not have even heard of, we support all of those programs here at John Carroll. All right. I will be at the academic fair this afternoon, the last part of the academic fair, so if you have questions for me, I will be at the table. Any questions? We've got a few minutes left for questions. I also wanted to take a minute. Oh, the students? Yes. So each of the students are going to get up and talk a little bit about their experience here at John Carroll. I also wanted to introduce, what?
So maybe tell us about maybe your best experience so far at John Carroll in the sciences. We've got about 10 minutes to include covering questions. So, Steve, why don't you go ahead now?
So like I said, I'm Stephen Bolton. I'm a sophomore here at John Carroll, so I'm a molecular biology major. And my most exciting experience right now at John Carroll is my research. And I was fortunate enough to start research my freshman year, first week of January and spring. And it's just been an eye-opening experience because I originally came in as a biology major. And with the help of Dr. Vandersong, who I work with, she kind of sparked my interest in cell biology. And by doing so, Dr. Martin and Dr. Lissamore, another professor here, have started a cell biology and developmental biology journal club. And it's really just changed my view on medicine. And it excites me now. Every Tuesday when we have a lecture. And I think it helps me with my research because I really get to see more than just, okay, this body part does this, and you just need to memorize why. But now you understand the mechanisms and what's happening and what molecules interacting with each molecule. So I think research has helped me see a different view of biology and medicine, and it keeps me going, and it's a great opportunity at John Carroll.
All right, so I'm Ryan Salemi, also cell and molecular biology. I work in the same research lab that Steve does, but one thing I think is really interesting about John Carroll is the class size. So if you go to Ohio State or another big school, your biology classes are going to be in auditoriums bigger than this. So for every single science class that I've had, there isn't one teacher that hasn't known my name by the first day, and that's just because of the size of the class. There's one professor that after you walk in, he'll take a mug shot of you and like make flashcards and make sure he knows everybody's name right away. So it might be a little intimidating after that, but then after he knows your name, he just makes you feel welcome, and it's a completely different type of learning environment when the teacher is basically one of your colleagues instead of a superior to you.
All right, I'm Alex Hurd. I'm a senior biochemistry major, about to graduate, which is pretty exciting. What I think John Carroll does really well is it prepares you for after graduation. For instance, I do research with Dr. Kwan, one of the chemistry professors, for about 2 years now, and I think that's helped me just with all my procedures and like in the labs, you learn stuff, and then with research, you really cements what you know. And I think that helped me get a job after graduation. I have a full-time job at the Cleveland Clinic in the cell biology department. And I didn't even interview, I just kind of came in, talked about what I've done, and they're like, okay, you can have a job. So, it was really cool. So, because they really love John Carroll people, they know that they work really well, especially from everything they learn in research and in labs. So I think that really helped me get that step up from other people who apply.
Hi, my name is Kenneth Ogrocki. I'm a junior. I'm a cell and molecular biology major as well. And I think the most important thing that I was able to take advantage of was like the relationships we have with professional schools. So we have an affiliation with Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine in Erie, Pennsylvania, and it's called like the Early Acceptance Program. And And so you're able to apply like as a John Carroll student and go up and interview and have the opportunity to have a seat waiting for you after graduation. So I was able to take advantage of that opportunity, and so when I graduate in 2016, I'll have a seat waiting for me at Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine. And I think, you know, in addition to that, I wouldn't be able to take advantage of those opportunities if I didn't have like the relationships, kind of what Ryan was mentioning, like the relationships we have with the professors here. So like they're not, you know, just concerned with your academics, they're concerned with you as a person as well, which I think is really important. And so they don't, you know, coming to college is about not only finding out like what you want to do with your life and as your career, but the kind of person that you want to become. And so I think that's important that your professors take an interest not only in what you're doing and what your GPA is, but, you know, what kind of person you are.
Hannah is also the president of the Pre-Health Honor Society here. So did you want to say a word or two about the pre-health group?
Oh, sure.
Great.
Okay, so I'm, like Dr. Lee mentioned, I'm president of our Pre-Health Society here, and so we have a variety of students of all different majors and interests, and so it's just a club we meet about once a month, and we have community service requirements, and we plan different events. Actually, tomorrow we're having an Easter egg hunt, so if you have children. So just different events like that. It's just to take advantage of people that are within the same major and have the same interests. We have a mentoring system as well, so like a junior is paired with 3 freshmen. So just to make sure they're on track and just to have somebody else to help you throughout the program. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was awesome. I also want to take just a moment to introduce our provost is here today with us as well. This is Dr. Jean Colleran. She is available to answer questions as well, any questions or concerns that you might have.
Any questions you have?
All right, so you guys are mentioning a lot of research and opportunities, like you said, with the Cleveland Clinic and everything. How competitive are those? Like, how many students would you say per year are able to enter those and finish them up like this?
So the Cleveland Clinic program has about 35 applicants each year for 10 spots. And there's, like I said, usually a few more students on the alternate list end up down there. There's always a few more students who go do that, even outside of the formal program on their own. For the in-house program, there was also about 35 applicants this year. And that was for 7 or 8 positions. And some of that's an overlapping pool. So you're really talking more about 55 students. 55 students who are seniors, they don't count, they're leaving. So you're really looking at freshmen through juniors, but the freshmen, not many of them are going to access it, so it's really 2 classes of students.
It's also not unusual for a student to go down, say before their junior year, to go down to the Cleveland Clinic as one of those 10 in the formal program. But then they get offered a position for the following summer separate from that program. So we've always got a lot more than 10 students down there in any summer. That's the other thing to keep in mind, because some of our students, they do really well and they end up repeating.
Right, and I was even just going to mention, we just because we go to John Carroll doesn't mean we have to go to Cleveland Clinic. I mean, I know that sounds strange because we're in, but I'm from Pittsburgh, so like over the summers, I was able to take advantage of doing research at LA General Hospital in Pittsburgh. So, that it's just because like we're at John Carroll doesn't mean like Cleveland Clinic is, if you don't get that spot one year, maybe if you're from Rochester, there's Hamburg Medical Center or something, is that what it's called? So, anything, it's wherever you can find the opportunity.
I would have to back that up. I have a lot of students who find research opportunities close to where their home is. So I know that I have some students doing research at Roswell near Buffalo. I had a student who spent a semester doing research in Geneva, Switzerland. So they find research experiences, and I write a ton of letters every year supporting those students for their research experiences. So again, what Hannah said is absolutely true. If you want to stay in Cleveland and get a research experience, that's great. You'll be able to do that. If you want to move back home or go somewhere else entirely, those are also lots of them are available.
The clinic is the one who pays our students, but we also are building an endowment so that we can pay students to do research in various places. At the moment for the sciences, it's over a $500,000 endowment. That means that there'll be another pot of funds for students to be able to do things in fields other than the clinic.
Other questions you have?
A question. When you spoke earlier, you mentioned the testing out of language requirements. Is that with credit or not just not having to take the language, but being able to take others?
No, I'm getting the answer from, no credits, waiver of the requirement.
Right.
Waiver of the requirement.
So the foreign language requirement is meant to be a competency in a foreign language. And so if you can demonstrate coming in that you have competency at what's the equivalent of our 201 level in a language, then you are not required to take a foreign language.
Okay, but that would make you have fewer credits to graduate with.
Correct. Well, what that means, though, if you test out of that, that means you have more credits to explore and to be able to take advantage of minors, concentrations, double majors. It gives you a lot more flexibility in your schedule if you test out of that.
It's
Yes.
not an excuse to graduate with fewer credits.
Correct. Correct.
That's a different requirement.
It's an opportunity to do other things.
Is there anything we can do as biology students coming in as freshmen in the fall this summer?
This summer, well, you can always get involved with lots of service activities. Things like that are important. It doesn't matter if you're here or not, or things like that. That's a good opportunity. I have heard of students doing summer research out of high school at various places. I'm not sure where you're from and if that's even an opportunity for you to do that. Part of what you can do, and all of you can do, is get ready, right? Kind of recharge the battery. You spent 13 years in school, right? Recharge the battery for a summer and get ready to just turn it up another notch. Because the difference between high school and college is going to be pretty sharp. So just get ready. I think that's one of the most important things students can do.
And spend some time with your family, because once you get here and you have that separation, your mom and dad, they're going to miss you. So spend a little time with your family so that you get that good time in before you start college.
I would agree with that. The only thing I would add to that is the sooner you decide on where you're going to go, and if you were coming to John Carroll, the sooner you decide, the sooner you get to select your orientation session. And the sooner you come in the orientation process, the more flexibility you have in what courses you're going to start with, at what times of day, and especially if you were an athlete or something and you need to take courses at particular times, you want to come early. So if there's something you can do ahead of time, it's make your decision when you're ready, when you're confident in your decision, and get right into an early session of orientation so that you can have the best opportunity to select the things that are going to fit you.
When would that be?
Yeah.
When would that be?
When would that be? They don't start until the beginning of June, right?
Yeah,
The orientations.
first week of
Now,
June.
when do you open up the registration for those?
It opens up May 11th, I believe.
Okay.
The other thing thinking about courses is, you get the courses you need at the times you need them. I mean times, semesters, and as well as year you're here. It's not that there's 50 students in a particular class, you're number 51, I'm sorry, I'll see you next year. That doesn't happen. We ensure that you get the courses you need in the semester you need it to progress, to graduate in 4 years without any problem.
You won't have the situations I've heard some students run into where they're in their junior year and they have to take an extra semester because they couldn't get into the course they need for their major. That doesn't happen here, and you see that if you look at our 4-year graduation rate.
For visits to Costa Rica and deserts, are those alongside our classes or are they outside and offered to all students?
So the Costa Rica trip would be during the course, and so you'd sign up for the course. It has an extra fee associated with travel and so on. The Atacama trip is a research experience. You'd have to be working with a particular faculty member for something like that to happen. But the other kind of domestic trips, those will be happening, as well as the Honduras one. Honduras is open to anybody. Okay? You don't have to be a biology major to do something like that. We have a wealth of immersion experiences that are heading off various places, domestic and international, over the holiday breaks or between the semesters, during spring break, following the academic year. There's a lot to take advantage of.
Is studying abroad, is that a viable option for biology majors?
Absolutely. I didn't get to study abroad, but I was in Ireland last spring to help facilitate some exchange programs that we have with an Irish university. one that's very dear to our program's heart, no doubt, is their families from there. And so there's a couple of Irish universities if you want to go study some science. Right? You can still stay on track with that. Otherwise, you can plan it very intentionally because you're going to have academic advising with a faculty member. I'll know if you want to go study abroad, we're going to take these classes now. Maybe you need to take one semester of physics in the summer, let's say, so you can go to Rome. Because when you're in Rome, you don't want to take any sciences. You probably want to study Roman things, right? Not that Irish things aren't great, Gene. But we send our science students mainly to those couple of programs, and then other kids go to England and to Italy and so on, Spain.
I've also had a number of students who select summertime study abroad experiences so that they don't devote an entire semester to their study abroad experience, but they still get a 6-week study abroad experience during the summertime. So that's also another popular option. I highly encourage it though. I think it really adds to the richness of your undergraduate education.
Starting what year are they allowed to do study abroad? Freshman, sophomore?
Sophomore. Provost says sophomore.
Typically sophomore. It depends on what field you're in, when it's going to fit best though. A lot of times for our science students, I know for chemistry students, it typically fits in best in the spring of the junior year. Because of the way that in a science curriculum, it's very hierarchical. And if you don't have certain prerequisites, you can't take the later upper division elective. So in the sciences, it does take some planning. And there's a limitation in terms of when you would do it. You probably wouldn't do it for the most part during sophomore year, unless you wanted to take a summer to devote to catching back up.
Like an elective.
What do you mean an elective?
Like a humanities elective, if you're doing Rome.
Well, the one problem is if you're in a year-long course. So physics 1, physics 2, you leave in the fall. You should take physics 1 in the summer and then take physics 2 when you get back from study abroad. So stay on track.
2- and 3-week courses in Rome sponsored by John Carroll University, both in May and later in the summer, as there are a peace, justice, and human rights course, which would count for part of the core. That has gone to various places. I've taken them to South Africa. We've gone to Northern Ireland. So there are lots and lots of opportunities, no matter what your major is.
Go ahead.
This is a question a little bit more direct because for the students. So having a heavy science workload, how do you kind of balance wanting to get involved with clubs and having enough time in your schedule to do those?
She wants to know if you have any fun.
Give her time. So yeah, I mean, I won't it's a rigorous schedule, right? I mean, if you want to come and do a science program, it's going to be rigorous anywhere. But I think coming here, I have become such a time manager. It's you almost have to, So if you want to be involved, I'm also a resident assistant, so if you were giving, you were at tours this morning, so just being able to balance and saying okay, if I have 6 to 8 to do my homework, I need to do my homework, so I turn off my phone or, things like that. So just being very diligent about what you're doing. My planner is timed out, what I need to do, but I do have fun, so it's okay too.
Yeah, you definitely want to prioritize, don't stay until 3 or playing Mario Kart. I learned that the hard way, that's not a good way. Staying through college is fun, but
that kind of stuff.
yeah, just know what's most important, then the fun will fit in.
Also, a lot of service opportunities are in the evening. I know there's an organization called Smiles with Styles where they go down to Rainbow Hospitals or Cleveland Clinic, and they work with children who have cancer, and they just kind of hang out, and that's Wednesday evenings. And also there's a project called Labra that every Friday evening they'll go downtown and serve homeless people. So most of the service projects, if you're thinking about service, accommodate your evening schedule. And then I personally like to have one day a week where I don't even think about schoolwork because it kind of makes you relax. So Saturday, I won't even open my backpack till Sunday, but it's really just dedicating time to yourself.
And just one last thing, I think a lot of it is just the fact that hopefully you enjoy your major, so while you're spending hours upon hours every night studying for it, or in the lab doing research, just the fact that you're actually really interested in it. Steve and I were actually here last night doing stuff for our molecular methods lab. It's not really that we had to, it's just we're to the point where we're actually really interested in what we're doing and we want to.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Okay. Well, thank you,
so
everybody.
much.
Thank you. The rest of the afternoon, there's a lot of different opportunities. We have students in the back that'll start shuttling everybody back.
We're gonna come back to the lunch.